Hello, my beautiful warriors. I just decided to do this video because I've been on a video roll today, apparently. I did a Q&A video for YouTube. I popped into one of my private groups about a retreat for this year. So I thought I would just pop in on this page and do a quick live just to really say hello and to connect with you all. There isn't anything in particular necessarily that I planned on sharing, but I just wanted to say hello and connect with you. And I think part of that is coming too from around Christmas time in my newsletter, I shared that I was going to be offering or gifting 3 free 30-minute sessions with me. And really my intention for that was just to connect with people who follow me. And I was really a little surprised by the response that I got. I was so excited that so many people would actually want to take the time to connect with me. So I ended up drawing 5 names and have had all of the sessions. And it's just been so amazing to connect with people, some who I had no idea even followed me, and then a couple who I've seen on social media or commented on YouTube or something like that. And it has been really just such an honor to connect with everybody. So one of the things that I shared today in the Courageous Warrior group, it's a closed group that I have. And if you're interested in participating in that, you can just look up Courageous Warriors and join. It will take you to a link to sign up, and then you can join. But I talked about the power of hearing "me too," or even yourself being able to say "me too," and what that means, and how when we don't have the opportunity or experience for that, it can really just obviously intensify the sense of isolation that we experience. Hi, Jessie. Welcome. And that sense of isolation, the feeling that we're really alone in this, whether it's the experience that we've had or how we struggle, whether you have an abuse history or not, that being in that space and continuing to feel like we're the only one, the impact that has on us, it really is pretty profound, especially over time. And when you hear somebody say "me too," when obviously we've heard this long before the "me too," the hashtag of "me too," but when we hear "me too," or somebody says, "Oh my God, that happened to me," or "I thought I was the only one," the power that has in that moment, instantaneously, even if you don't continue to feel it, but in that moment, that sense of relief in a way. And of course, you're not happy that the other person has experienced something bad too, but knowing that you're not alone is so incredibly powerful and important in the healing process. Hi, Amanda. Nice to see you, or see you on here, I guess I would say. And so that's important. And how do we end up hearing "me too"? Or how do we get to experience a "me too" moment? Well, it's by people having a conversation. It's by people being willing to share something that they've experienced, whether it certainly doesn't have to be abuse. It can be, "I'm having a bad day." It could be, "I want out of this relationship." It could be, "My kids are driving me crazy." or I'm sad, or whatever. It could be anything. But we can't experience a Me Too moment without a willingness to share. It's that simple. I think the whole hashtag of Me Too recently that came about was because somebody came forward about sexual harassment, a celebrity came forward with sexual harassment, and another celebrity, because they have big voices, started the hashtag this time around and asked for people to share. Well, if that first person hadn't shared, the next person wouldn't have tweeted for other people to share. So it all starts with, in our own little way, in our own little context of relationship that we have with people, it starts by sharing a truth. And it really can be anything. And in that moment of sharing, even if that person maybe doesn't say me too, that person will know somebody who could say me too. So that person may take what you've said and share it with that other person. And then it shares to another person and another person. And eventually more people are talking. And ultimately, I know for me, that is the desire. Because when we can all talk about the fact that we struggle, and again, I'm not even talking specifically about sexual abuse, but just that we struggle, that we have self-doubt, that we're scared in relationships, that we don't know how to be vulnerable, that we don't know how to trust, that we cried ourselves to sleep the night before. Whatever it is, when we can share, we create connection. When we share, we release a little bit of our own shame. And whoever's hearing what it is that we're sharing, at least in that moment, that shame has been reduced as well. And when we can say, me too, about whatever it is, like when women first started talking about being honest about not wanting children or not wanting to get married, that's something that for years and years, no woman would ever publicly acknowledge because it was so shameful. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? You're supposed to want children. What kind of person are you that you don't want children? Well, now, unfortunately, I think there's still some stigma around that, but there's a whole lot more people who are willing to say, I don't want children, whatever their reason is. And then somebody else can say, oh my God, I'm not the only one. And in that moment, you realize that there's not something wrong with you, that you're okay. You're not crazy. You're not a bad person. You can be fully a woman and not want children. You can be a person who struggles with self-doubt and be a strong human being, and certainly a worthy human being. So you're saying, I cried all day off and on. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Without any doubt whatsoever, I know that you're not alone. I know that you're not alone. And maybe it wasn't today. Maybe it was yesterday. Maybe it will be tomorrow. And somebody will be able to say, me too. I believe that with everything in my being. I know that that's going to be the case. And in knowing that, for you to know that, Amanda, I hope you realize that you're not alone. And this journey is so isolating sometimes. It's really necessary to know that we're not alone. It's so necessary. Okay, well, Jesse said me too, so there we go. I missed that. I didn't read far enough. Self-doubt a lot, yeah. And you know what, Jesse? I have self-doubt. I do. I just was communicating with my retreat group who's coming back this year. And since they all asked about coming back again, I found myself feeling hesitant. And not because I didn't want to see them or have another retreat. That's not it. But the reality is that hesitation came from not necessarily complete self-doubt, but fear of what if they feel disappointed? What if they feel like it wasn't as good as the first one? And that uncertainty caused me to hold back a little bit. And, you know, I've said this before, that when it comes to me personally as a human being, I don't really struggle much with self-doubt. On occasion, of course, it will pop up, but it's really not a big struggle for me at all anymore. But when it comes to my work or the business aspect of my work, I sometimes forget that this is a business, but when it comes to that part, that's where self-doubt often creeps up. That's where uncertainty will creep up for me and cause me to kind of feel vulnerable or not take the action that I'm really desiring to take. And how it shows up for everybody is a little bit different, but me too. Me too, Jesse. Candace, is Candace on here? Well, I don't see Candace on here. But hi, Candace, if you're here. Hi, Jenny. Struggle with that too, Jesse, and with my self-worth. Yes. Well, certainly if you struggle with self-worth, self-doubt is inherently a part of that. And self-worth is the thing that I think that is a big, deep struggle for so many people, even if it doesn't necessarily look like it's a struggle with self-worth. And, you know, as I was just talking about my hesitation, the reality is that hesitation, that uncertainty, that fear really does stem initially from my own sense of unworthiness that I've experienced. And while, again, personally, that's not necessarily something that I really actually struggle with, there's still a part that when I'm feeling vulnerable can pop up and show up in terms of how I show up in my business or in my work. So yeah, it is an ongoing struggle for so many people, but the more that we can share, sorry if I just made a really loud noise with this microphone. If we can, and this is part of what healing is, but when we can share a struggle, big or small, whatever it is, when we can share a struggle, we give somebody an opportunity to say me too. Because I can almost guarantee that anything that any of you may struggle with at some point, without any doubt whatsoever, there's hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of other people in the world who have struggled as well with the same exact thing. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever. Whatever it is. And if we can keep that in mind, and if we can see how when somebody else shares something, how it feels for us to say, oh my God, me too. If we can do that, if we can connect to how that feels, and we can accept that when we share something, we give somebody else that same opportunity, Well, that's how we change the planet. I'm not saying it's your responsibility to change the planet, but if all of us did that, if once a week, each and every one of us on this planet shared with somebody something that we tend to not share. And it doesn't have to be about abuse or trauma. It can be, like I said, that you're feeling really irritated with somebody, that you don't want to go see somebody that you feel like you should want to go see, or that instead of going out and having a party or going to a party with a bunch of people that you're supposed to want to be around, that you really just want to stay in front of the TV and binge on Netflix. Like being able to say that. Being able to say, I don't want to go to the party. Because somebody else doesn't want to go to that party either, but they feel like they don't have a choice. They feel like, oh my God, what are people going to think if I say I don't want to go? What are people going to think about me if I say I want to sit on my sofa and watch TV? Or I want to read a book? That's something that introverts, I think, in general, have really struggled with over the years, kind of hiding the fact that they're an introvert, kind of hiding the fact that they really like their alone time, because society says that there's something wrong with that. But over the last many years, I think now, several years at least, people are honoring the fact that they're an introvert. So more and more people are being able to say, oh my God, I'm not the only one. I always felt like a little odd because I didn't know which category I fell into, because neither one was a really good fit. And then I can't think of the word right now. Ambivert? I don't know. I don't remember what it's called right now, but it's both. And I thought, that's it. That's where I fall, because I am definitely an introvert. I really need and appreciate time to myself and small groups and intimate conversation. Like that's what I really thrive on, and what nurtures me. But I also like showing up here and being with all of you and talking to a large group of people and having interaction with all of those people. So I like that to an extent, but also need my alone time. And it wasn't that long ago that people wouldn't acknowledge that they wanted that. Mike and Molly, yes, I've seen that. Not a lot, but I have seen that. Amanda says, I reached out quite a bit today, and my dear friend said to give myself credit for how I coped. Absolutely. Absolutely, Amanda. It's so important to recognize, especially when you're in a difficult place, all of the pieces that are present in that. So yeah, it may be a difficult day and you may be feeling kind of disheartened by the struggle, but being able to recognize that you're doing something about it, that you're allowing yourself to feel, that you're reaching out, all of those things are so important. So I'm glad that you were able to hear that. Using a lot of different tools, guided meditation, calming music. Yeah, I'm so glad that you were able to do that. And while the friend that you reached out to may not have been in the same place, I feel really confident that anybody who follows me, whether they're following me on this particular page or not, but somebody who follows me somewhere, I can almost guarantee that somebody who is part of our tribe somewhere also struggled today, without any doubt. Not really off topic. You're sharing your experience, and that's exactly what this topic is about. It's about sharing ourselves, and in doing that, we give other people the opportunity to be seen, to express themselves, and to know that they're not alone, as we also get to recognize that we're not alone. So it says that there are 4 people watching. I have 2 people who are commenting quite a bit. Jenny, I don't know if you're still here, but I see that you commented. So I'm just wondering who else may be on here. If you are comfortable sharing, well, now it says 3 people. I hope it's not because I was acknowledging that there was somebody else here. Oh, good, Jenny. Hi. A Facebook friend popped in. Oh, does that not feel okay to you? Hey, Barbara. Good to see you here. I don't know how I don't know how somebody like on your friends list might have known that you were watching this video, unless that person also likes this page. Then they might have known, well, that the video was on. And if you guys are friends, they might have even seen that. I don't know if they can see that you're watching the video, actually. Jesse says, being around judgmental people in your mother's house. I'm not sure if I missed something else there. Yeah, I'm not sure, but this page is public, and it is, I'm sorry, I don't think I might have just hit this mic again. It is public, and it is, I certainly talk mostly like about abuse and themes around abuse, but it is, I want people to also recognize that there's a lot of ways that we struggle with worthiness and self-doubt and shame ultimately, and so there are going to be some different people. There's people that I actually know in my personal life who don't necessarily have an abuse history at all, who like this page, and I know that they pop in every once in a while and will like something. So it was really great to see all these names pop up and connect with you kind of in real time. So I really didn't have anything specific. Like I said, I did want to talk a little bit about that idea of just recognizing how healing it can be to either be able to say me too, or for somebody else to say me too when you've shared something, whatever it is. And maybe even plant a seed for you to kind of think about, when you're struggling, when you're afraid of saying something to anybody, when you're afraid of reaching out, to remind yourself of this conversation, to remind yourself that that's how we as individuals heal in part, but it's also how we heal as communities and societies, by people being able to speak up, by people being able to share whatever their truth is, whatever it is. And whatever your truth is, whether it's about abuse or something seemingly pretty insignificant, it matters. You matter. Oh, right now, Jesse, feeling judged by people in your mother's house. Well, hopefully connecting with us here gives you at least a little bit of a different perspective, to know that you're not judged, to know that you matter. Hopefully you can hold on to that a little bit. Hi, Allison. Had an amazing experience with this weekend. Yeah, I'm so happy for you. So happy for you. Um, I don't want to put you on the spot, Allison, and you don't have to share anything that you don't want to share, but I'd love for you, if you feel comfortable, just sharing how you ended up having that experience. Because I happen to know a little bit about what Allison is talking about. So just what it is, what choice you made that led to being able to have that amazing experience. If you feel comfortable, if you want to just share how that ended up happening, just the little, like, you can share as much as you want, but if you had not done something, you wouldn't have experienced that. So that's the part that I'd love for you to share if you feel comfortable. And of course you can do that privately, you can do that after this video is over as well. But yeah, so much of our healing comes from recognizing that we're not alone, recognizing that we're not the only one, recognizing that other people get it, and like really get it, because they know how it feels. They know what it means to experience whatever that is, to have those thoughts, to have those desires, to have those experiences, whatever it is. We need those moments to heal. You know, one of the things that I hear from people so often is that in watching the YouTube videos, because that's how most people find me, that in watching the YouTube videos, the reason that they feel so powerful to them is because they recognize that they're able to say in so many different pieces, me too. Whether I'm sharing part of my personal experience and story, or I'm just talking in general about impact and healing, that they have so many moments of me too. And for so many of them, it has led to them beginning their journey to sharing for the first time with somebody else, which just leads to more moments of me too. And that's perfect what you just shared there, Allison. In short, let a friend see whole, or see you wholly. All of you, fully you in that moment, and being able to just be real. And that's enough. That's perfectly enough, because that's really what it's about. It doesn't, and I think that that's even kind of a good example of, it can be something kind of small. I'll give you kind of a silly example in a way. In 2016, I guess, I was part of a mastermind, and I went on a retreat, and I was meeting all these women for the first time, which is obviously kind of vulnerable. And it was such a really powerful experience overall. But I am a little bit of a, I wouldn't say that I'm picky anymore necessarily. I don't know, maybe I am, eater. But there's a lot of things that I don't like to eat. I'll put it that way. And on this retreat, they served a lot of really beautiful meals, a lot of really healthy, whole foods kinds of meals, which is beautiful and great. However, that meant that there were a lot of meals that I didn't love. And I remember, I don't know if it was towards the beginning, I don't remember if it was towards the end, but one of the other people that was there, because people kind of were making fun of me because I was making faces and stuff like that. But somebody said, just kind of mentioned something about either wanting a hamburger or a steak or something. I don't remember what it was. And it was like, I am so glad I am not the only person out of this group of 20 women or however many it was who just really wants meat. Like real meat. And wasn't completely enjoying the food because everybody around me was talking about how amazing the food was, how delicious it was, and how full they were, and like just all these beautiful comments about this food. And I wasn't quiet, and I certainly wasn't ashamed or anything. I was vocal. I let people know kind of how I felt. But everybody else around me was talking about how amazing the food was, until somebody said something along the lines of "me too," and it was like, oh my God, I'm not the only one. And of course, that wasn't like a huge healing moment, but it was still a moment when I felt like, okay, I am not the only carnivore in this entire group of people. It's okay that like I can belong here and still want to have a nice steak. So that was, again, it doesn't have to be a really big or deep kind of thing, but just knowing that we're not the only one is so incredibly important and powerful in this process. Yeah, I do have a preference for sure. So maybe I will put this out there. Maybe somebody shares something with you and you actually say, me too. Maybe you consider sharing something of yourself. Again, could be anything. But you consider sharing something of yourself with somebody. Maybe something that you're not sure how they would respond. You're not sure what they're going to think. Are they going to think that you're being too emotional or sensitive or surprised? Maybe think about opening yourself up a little bit and sharing with somebody. And then I'd love to hear how it goes. I would really like to hear what your experience is, whether you're the one saying me too, or whether you share something with somebody that they can relate to. So if you do, I'd love to hear about it. So I think I'm done. I don't think that I necessarily have anything else to say. Unless there's somebody I have, I can stay on for a little bit longer. So does anybody have any thoughts or questions that I might be able to answer? I think I'm saying everything. I really appreciate you sharing, Allison, both that you had an experience this weekend and how that happened. Me too. Yes, Barbara, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you, Jenny. I appreciate you saying that too. I really actually enjoy doing these videos, and I think part of my difficulty has been trying to figure out where to spend my time that's in these kind of open forums, because I really want to be able to show up in our closed group, but I know that there are a lot of people who actually don't even follow or aren't really on Facebook, and also wanting people to just be able to find that the space exists, that we're talking about these kinds of things. And that kind of reminds me that I'm working on trying to merge the Courageous Journeys page on Facebook with this page, this Peggy Oliveira public profile page. I'm a little scared to push the button ultimately, because apparently there's no guarantee that they will merge those pages, which is a little scary because I know that I have a lot of people. Sorry, I keep forgetting that's there. There's a lot more people certainly that follow me on Courageous Journeys that follow me here, but I'm really trying to get this page be the space where we're talking about all of this kind of stuff. So if you notice that suddenly there's no Courageous Journeys anymore, you'll know why. Jesse, yeah. It's not odd. It's actually quite normal. And that's part of what perpetuates the idea that we're alone and that there's something wrong with us and that we don't fit in and ultimately that we don't matter. So that is something that a lot of people can relate to. And part of that, there's two pieces going on. One is that it's just our belief system that we're different, we're unworthy, and other people are better than us, or whatever it is, those things that we say to ourselves. So part of that is our belief system that we're not enough. And then the other part of that is often a piece of self-protecting, which may not make a lot of sense, but when you tell yourself that you are different than other people, you tend to not share much of yourself. You tend to not allow yourself to really connect with those other people all that much. And you certainly don't typically allow yourself to trust them. And if you don't allow those things to happen, then you don't end up ever being hurt by those people. If you never approach anybody and share with them or ask them if they want to go to lunch or something like that, then you don't risk rejection. So much of that is about self-protection, which served a purpose at a time, but the only purpose that it serves now is to keep you from healing. Because that idea, every time you have that thought, it perpetuates that belief. And the only way that we can heal that, the only way that we can begin to shift that is by, even when we're feeling like we're the only one or we're the odd one and everybody else they all have that in common, but we have nothing in common. The only way to be able to shift that really is by putting ourselves out there, by taking a risk and asking or sharing. And you hear me too. And you realize that those things that you feel are so odd about you, other people feel are odd about them. There are so many things that I believed about myself, whether it was a struggle or a reaction or a feeling or an experience, so many things about myself that I thought were just me and that everybody else was different. And then I realized that that's not the case, which was an important part of healing. So we have to take risks to be able to recognize that we're not the only one. So thank you, Jesse, for sharing that and for asking the question. So I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about doing these videos. As I mentioned at the beginning of this particular video, I recorded earlier a new Q&A for YouTube that I'll be releasing tomorrow. And now that the holidays are over and I'm over the flu, hoping to really get back into that. And I've got a lot of great questions to get to still. But if anybody has a question for me that you'd like me to answer on the Q&A series for YouTube, please send it to q&a@courageousjourneys.com. And also stay tuned for for maybe a couple of announcements. One of the things I'm going to be doing in the very near future is sending out an email to people who have signed up on my website to get information about retreats. I'm going to be sending out an email to those people to try to get some feedback and see about doing another retreat this year for new people. So if that's something that you're interested in and you haven't yet signed up to get information about the retreat, then head over to my website and you can sign up on the retreat page, I think is where it's at, to be able to get those emails. So I thank you for spending this time with me, first of all, and I will look forward to seeing you all again soon. Have a beautiful rest of your day and a great week. Bye.